The massive crystal dome of Nexus Prime stretched endlessly above Kim Hana as she walked through the Grand Council chambers. Her boots echoed against the polished floor, while alien delegates filled the curved seats that rose in perfect circles around the central speaking platform. Each species had their own section marked by symbols she could barely understand. The air tasted strange and metallic from the atmosphere processors that kept 1,000 different life forms breathing in the same space. Hana wore her best Earth diplomatic uniform with the ancient katana at her side. The blade had belonged to her great-grandfather and his grandfather before that. Every human ambassador carried something from their home world, but most chose data tablets or small flags. She chose the sword because it reminded her that humans had always been fighters even when others thought they were weak. Lee Taman walked beside her carrying the presentation materials in a simple bag. He kept looking up at the alien faces staring down at them. Some had too many eyes while others seemed to be made of living metal or flowing gas contained in force fields. The Vorthak representatives looked like walking crystals that sang instead of speaking. The Etherians floated in containment fields that sparkled with their thoughts. The Nexians clicked and whirred with mechanical precision as they recorded everything. "Remember what we practiced," Hana whispered to Taman as they reached the speaking platform. "Stay calm no matter what they say." The platform rose smoothly, lifting them toward the center of the dome. Thousands of alien eyes focused on the two humans standing in the spotlight. A deep humming sound filled the air as the universal translators activated. High Chancellor Vexathera of the Vorthak began to speak, and her crystal body glowed with each word. "We gather today to hear the petition of the species called humans from the planet they name Earth." The Chancellor's voice echoed through multiple translation matrices, making it sound both musical and cold. "They request membership in our galactic empire, which has maintained peace and order across 3 galaxies for 10,000 standard years." Murmurs and strange sounds rippled through the audience. Some aliens made clicking noises that Hana guessed was laughter. Others released chemical scents that made the air shimmer. The mechanical Nexians simply recorded everything with their glowing sensors. "Honorable Chancellor and esteemed representatives," Hana began, and her voice was automatically translated into a dozen different forms of communication. "I am Ambassador Kim Hana speaking for the United Earth Government. We come before you today not as conquerors or beggars, but as neighbors who wish to join the galactic community in peace." A Nexian representative interrupted with a series of electronic beeps that translated as dismissive amusement. "Your species controls only one small planet orbiting an unremarkable star in the outer spiral arm. What possible contribution could you make to our empire?" Hana had expected this question. "We offer our unique perspective on problem solving and our willingness to work alongside any species that shares our values of freedom and cooperation. Humanity has survived ice ages and wars and disasters by adapting and helping each other. We believe these qualities would serve the Empire well." Thykaum. Etherian delegate's containment field pulsed with what seemed like scorn. "Your entire civilization is barely 5,000 years old. We have individual members who have lived longer than your recorded history. Why should ancient wisdom bow to infant ignorance?" More sounds of alien amusement filled the chamber. Taman shifted nervously, but Hana remained perfectly still, with one hand resting lightly on her sword hilt. Not as a threat, but as a source of strength. "With respect," she replied, "youth can bring fresh ideas to old problems. Sometimes experience can blind us to new solutions. We do not ask you to bow to us, but to consider us as equals despite our short history." High Chancellor Vexthera's crystal form brightened with what appeared to be genuine curiosity. "Equals, you say? Tell us, human, what makes your species equal to civilizations that built star bridges before your son was born? What technology do you possess that we have not already perfected? What wisdom do you carry that we have not already learned?" This was the moment Hana had prepared for during the long journey to Nexus Prime. She gestured to Taman, who activated their portable holographic projector. Images of Earth appeared in the air above them, showing cities and farms and oceans under a blue sky. "We do not claim superior technology or ancient wisdom," Hana said as the images shifted to show humans working together during natural disasters and conflicts. We offer something different. When faced with impossible odds, humanity does not surrender or seek easy answers. We adapt and we fight and we never abandon our own. The projection showed scenes from human history, soldiers carrying wounded comrades from battlefields, scientists working day and night to cure diseases, ordinary people risking their lives to save strangers during floods and earthquakes and fires. Your species fights among yourselves constantly, observed a Vorthak counselor whose crystal surface flickered with disapproval. Your planet shows evidence of numerous wars and conflicts. How can warriors serve an empire built on peace? We fight because we care about things worth fighting for, Hana answered. Freedom, justice, protection of the innocent. Yes, we have known war, but we have also known the peace that comes after war when people choose to build something better together. The alien laughter grew louder now. Electronic chittering from the Nexians mixed with the musical tones of Vorthak, amusement and the chemical releases of contemptuous Etherians. Some species she could not identify made sounds that hurt her ears even through the translation filters. High Chancellor Vex Thara raised one crystalline appendage, and the chamber fell silent. You speak of fighting for justice and freedom as if these concepts have meaning beyond your small world. The Empire maintains order across countless species and billions of worlds through strength and wisdom accumulated over millennia. We have eliminated the chaos of individual conflict by establishing universal law. She paused, and her entire crystal body pulsed with a cold light. Your petition shows either remarkable courage or stunning ignorance. Perhaps both. The Galactic Empire does not need warriors who fight for abstract principles. We need civilized species who understand their place in the greater order. Hana felt Taemin tense beside her, but she remained calm. We understand our place, Chancellor. We simply believe that place should be earned through merit, not assigned through fear. The word fear caused an immediate reaction throughout the chamber. Alien voices rose in outrage and disbelief. The Nexians' mechanical clicking grew rapid and agitated. Several Etherian delegates released chemical clouds that made the air thick and bitter. Fear, repeated the Chancellor, and her voice carried dangerous undertones. You accuse the Empire of ruling through fear rather than wisdom. I accuse no one of anything. Hana replied carefully. I merely suggest that true order comes from willing cooperation, not forced compliance. A sword is strongest when it bends rather than breaks. She touched her katana lightly, and the gesture was noticed by every alien in the chamber. Some recoiled as if she had drawn the weapon, while others leaned forward with predatory interest. The Chancellor's crystal form darkened. You carry a primitive blade as if it could threaten technology that can reshape worlds. Your arrogance matches your ignorance, human. The Empire has considered your petition and finds it premature. The chamber fell completely silent as the Chancellor continued. Humanity will be granted 30 standard galactic days to demonstrate their worth through action rather than words. During this time, you will face challenges designed to test your claims of adaptability and cooperation. Success may earn you a place as a junior member species under appropriate supervision. Her crystal body brightened with what could only be described as predatory satisfaction. Failure will result in your species being reclassified as suitable for managed integration under direct Imperial control. Your people will serve the Empire in whatever capacity we deem most useful. The alien laughter returned, now louder and more cruel than before. Hana understood that this had never been a real petition hearing. It was entertainment for beings who saw humans as amusing primitives worthy only of mockery or slavery. She bowed formally to the Chancellor while keeping her eyes level. We accept your challenge with gratitude for the opportunity to prove ourselves worthy of membership in your empire. As the platform lowered to carry them away from the speaking circle, Taemin whispered urgently. Hana, they never intended to accept us as equals, I know, she whispered back while maintaining her diplomatic smile for the watching aliens. But now we know exactly what we are dealing with. The ancient blade at her side seemed to hum with anticipation as they walked through the crystal corridors toward their ship. The Empire had just made their first mistake by underestimating the species that had never learned how to surrender. The human diplomatic ship Harmony felt cramped and primitive, compared to the vast alien vessels surrounding Nexus Prime's orbital station. Kim Hana sat in the small command center, watching alien craft that looked like living creatures or impossible geometric shapes drift past their viewport. Each one was larger than anything Earth had ever built and moved with technology that seemed to ignore basic physics. Lee Taman worked at the communications console trying to establish a secure link back to Earth. The Empire's monitoring systems were incredibly advanced, and any message they sent would be intercepted and analyzed within seconds. Still, they had to report what happened during the council session. "Got it," Taman said as encrypted symbols appeared on his screen. "The quantum relay is active through the hidden satellites we planted on the way here." The message from Earth came through in pieces to avoid detection. General Park Jisu's face appeared on their private screen, looking tired and grim. His image flickered as the quantum encryption worked to keep their conversation secret from alien sensors. "Ambassador, I assume from your early contact that the council session did not go well," Park said. "We monitored some of the energy signatures from the chamber. It looked like they were quite amused by something." Hana quickly explained the Empire's challenge and the 30-day time limit. Park listened without interruption, while his expression grew darker with each detail. When she finished, he was quiet for a long moment. "So they never intended to accept us as equals," he finally said. "The whole petition process was theater designed to justify whatever they planned to do to us anyway." "That's my assessment," Hana agreed. "The question now is what kind of test they will design. Something meant to be impossible so they can claim we failed legitimately." The quantum link crackled as another encrypted message came through. This one carried video files and tactical data that made both humans stare in shock. The files showed massive alien warships attacking human colonies on the outer rim of their solar system. But the attacks were strange and limited, as if the aliens were studying human responses rather than trying to win quickly. "These raids have been happening for 6 months, Park explained through the static connection. "We thought they were random pirate attacks, but the pattern analysis shows they were coordinated tests. Someone has been studying our military capabilities and response times." Taman pulled up star charts showing the attacked colonies. Every raid targeted different types of defensive systems. They were mapping our strengths and weaknesses. Before Hana could respond, their ship's proximity alarms activated. A massive alien vessel was approaching their position with weapons clearly visible along its organic-looking hull. The ship appeared to be grown rather than built, with curves and protrusions that pulsed with bioluminescent patterns. The communication system activated automatically as the alien ship established contact. High Chancellor Vex Thara's crystal form appeared on their main screen, but she was not alone. Standing beside her was a creature that looked like a nightmare fusion of insect and machine. Its multiple eyes glowed red while mechanical appendages clicked with predatory satisfaction. "Ambassador Hana," the Chancellor began, and her crystal body flickered with cold amusement. "Allow me to introduce Fleet Commander Zektar of the Ravager Alliance. He will be conducting your species' worthiness test." The insect creature stepped forward, and its mechanical parts whirred as it spoke. "Humans, your test is simple. The Kepler station in the disputed border zone has been marked for liberation by Ravager forces. You will defend this station against our fleet using whatever resources your species can provide." Hana kept her expression neutral, even as her mind raced. Kepler Station was a mining facility on the edge of known space, where several minor species had established a cooperative settlement. It was barely defended and located far from any major military assets. "What are the terms of engagement?" she asked. "How many ships may we bring, and what weapons are permitted?" Fleet Commander Zektar's multiple eyes gleamed with anticipation. "You may bring whatever forces you can assemble within your 30-day time limit. We make no restrictions on your weapons or tactics. The test ends when either Kepler Station is destroyed or our fleet is defeated." The Chancellor's crystal form brightened. "To make the test fair, we will provide you with complete intelligence on the Ravager fleet composition and capabilities. You will face 200 vessels, including 12 Dreadnought-class warships equipped with planet-cracking weapons." The transmission ended abruptly, leaving the humans alone with the magnitude of their situation. 200 alien warships against whatever Earth could assemble and transport to Kepler Station within 30 days. It was clearly designed to be impossible. They want us to throw everything we have at an unwinnable battle, Taman said quietly. When we fail, they can claim we had a fair chance and Earth becomes a slave world. Hana stood and walked to the small observation port, looking out at the alien ships surrounding them. Her hand rested on her katana as she considered their options. The Empire expected humanity to respond like every other species they had tested. Gather the largest possible fleet and attack with overwhelming force, hoping superior numbers would carry the day. Send a priority message to General Park, she said. Tell him to initiate Protocol Bushido immediately. Taman's fingers hesitated over the controls. Hana, are you sure? Once we activate Protocol Bushido, there is no going back. Everything we have prepared for the last 5 years gets committed to this single battle. She turned from the viewport and her eyes held a cold determination that reminded him of her ancestors' warrior spirit. The Empire thinks they know how humans fight because they have been testing our colonies. They have seen our standard tactics and conventional weapons. They believe they understand our capabilities. The quantum link reopened, and General Park's face appeared again. This time he looked alert and focused as if he had been expecting this moment for years. Protocol Bushido is confirmed, he said before Hana could speak. We monitored your conversation with the Ravagers. Fleet Admiral Song Minho is already mobilizing the Shadow Fleet while Captain Choi Min-soo prepares the modified vessels. New data began flowing through the encrypted channel, showing ship designs and weapon specifications that had been classified at the highest levels of Earth's government. The Shadow Fleet was humanity's secret response to the alien threat. Every vessel had been modified with captured alien technology and equipped with weapon systems that combined human engineering with reverse-engineered Empire tech. How long until the fleet reaches Kepler Station? Hana asked. 18 days if we push the quantum drives to maximum, Park replied. The Shadow Fleet consists of 30 vessels, but each one has been specifically designed for close-range combat against larger opponents. Taman studied the ship's specifications with growing excitement. These are not standard warships. They look more like oversized fighters designed for ramming attacks. Exactly, Park confirmed. The Empire species all fight the same way. Long-range energy weapons supported by overwhelming numerical superiority. They have forgotten the art of close-quarters combat because no one has challenged them directly for thousands of years. Hana nodded as the plan became clear in her mind. The Ravagers will expect us to engage at maximum range, trying to use our inferior numbers to score lucky hits on their larger ships. Instead, we close to knife-fighting distance where their size becomes a disadvantage. Additional files came through showing personnel records for the Shadow Fleet crews. Every captain and officer had been selected for their willingness to take extreme risks in combat. Many came from military families with traditions dating back centuries to the ancient warriors of Earth. Captain Choi Min-soo commanded the flagship Seoul's Pride, with tactical officer Kang Yeona and chief engineer Oh Ji-hoon. Each ship carried Marines, trained in zero-gravity boarding operations using weapons that combine traditional blade techniques with advanced energy shields. There is something else, Park said, and his expression grew serious. Intelligence operative Yoon Nari has been monitoring Empire communications. The Ravager fleet is not just a test. It represents the Empire's primary enforcement arm used to subjugate species that resist Imperial control. The implications were clear. If humanity could defeat the Ravagers, they would eliminate the Empire's main tool for maintaining order through intimidation. Every enslaved species in the galaxy would see that the Empire's forces could be beaten by a determined enemy, willing to pay the price for victory. The stakes are higher than just Earth's freedom, Hana realized. This battle could spark rebellions across the Empire if we succeed, which is exactly why they expect us to fail, Park replied. No species has ever defeated a Ravager fleet in direct combat. The Empire's reputation for invincibility rests on their perfect record. Hana touched her katana and felt the weight of 10,000 years of warrior tradition flowing through the ancient steel. Her ancestors had faced impossible odds before and found victory through courage, sacrifice, and tactical brilliance. The weapons had changed, but the warrior spirit remained the same. Signal the Shadow Fleet to proceed to Kepler Station at maximum speed, she ordered. Tell Admiral Song that humanity's reputation will be decided in the next 30 days. Fleet Admiral Song Minho stood in the command center of Earth's most secret military facility, buried 3 kilometers beneath the Korean mountains. The massive chamber hummed with activity as officers coordinated the largest military operation in human history. Holographic displays showed the positions of 30 warships racing through hyperspace toward Kepler Station, while technicians monitored quantum communication links with intelligence operatives scattered across the galaxy. Protocol. Bushido had been in development since humanity's first contact with alien civilizations 5 years ago. Every major government on Earth had contributed resources to the project after realizing that peaceful coexistence might not be possible with species that viewed humans as primitives. The protocol's name honored the ancient warrior code that taught victory through discipline, sacrifice, and tactical superiority rather than superior numbers. Admiral, we have confirmation from all Shadow Fleet vessels, reported Commander Yoon Nari from her station, surrounded by screens showing intercepted alien communications. Captain Choi Minsu reports the quantum drives are holding stable at maximum output. They will reach Kepler Station in 16 days. Song reviewed the tactical displays showing their modified warships compared to standard human vessels. Each Shadow Fleet ship was smaller than traditional battleships but carried experimental weapon systems reverse-engineered from captured alien technology. More importantly, every vessel had been designed with one purpose in mind: getting close enough to enemy ships to deliver devastating boarding attacks. "What is the status of our intelligence gathering?" Song asked as he moved to Nari's workstation. "Do we have complete information on Ravager tactical doctrine?" Nari pulled up files that had been collected over months of careful observation. "Our operatives have documented 17 major battles involving Ravager fleets. They follow identical patterns in every engagement: long-range bombardment to break enemy formations followed by systematic destruction of disabled vessels." The data showed that Ravager ships were massive and heavily armored, but designed for fighting at extreme distances. Their weapons could destroy planets but required precise targeting systems that worked best against slow-moving targets. No enemy had ever survived long enough to reach close quarters range. "They have never faced boarding actions," observed Lim, Wubin, the leader of Shadow Squadron's elite marine units. "Every species they have conquered surrenders or dies before their ships can be reached." Song nodded as he studied the tactical implications. The Empire's species have forgotten the lessons of close combat because their superior technology has made such tactics unnecessary for thousands of years. They rely on overwhelming firepower delivered from safe distances. Additional reports arrived from intelligence operatives embedded within alien trading networks. The Empire had grown complacent after millennia of easy victories against species that fought using predictable conventional tactics. Most alien civilizations developed similar military doctrines focused on energy weapons and defensive shields. "Sir, we have an incoming priority transmission from Ambassador Kim Hana," announced a communications officer. "She is requesting immediate conference with senior staff." The main screen activated, showing Hana aboard the diplomatic ship Harmony as it traveled toward Kepler Station. Behind her, Lee Taman worked at monitoring equipment, while alien vessels could be seen through the viewport following at a respectful distance. "Admiral, I have new intelligence that changes our tactical situation," Hana began without preliminary greetings. "The Empire is not just testing our military capabilities. They are broadcasting this challenge to enslaved species throughout the galaxy." Song felt his stomach tighten as the implications became clear. "They want other species to witness our defeat as a warning against resistance." "Exactly," Hana confirmed. "But it also means that if we succeed, every oppressed world will know that the Empire's forces can be beaten." Intelligence operative Jong Hyun has made contact with resistance groups on 12 different worlds. They are waiting to see the outcome of our battle. New data flowed through the quantum links showing the locations of alien species that had been conquered by the Empire over the past 1,000 years. Many retained their military traditions in secret while outwardly complying with imperial rule. A successful human victory could trigger coordinated rebellions across multiple star systems. The stakes just got much higher, Song realized. This is not just about Earth's freedom anymore. We could be starting a galactic war. A war that needs to happen, Hana replied firmly. The Empire maintains control through intimidation and superior technology, but they rule billions of beings who never chose to surrender their freedom. They just lacked hope that resistance was possible. Song called up tactical projections, showing what a galaxy-wide rebellion might look like. If even half the conquered species joined an uprising, the Empire's forces would be spread too thin to maintain control. But it would require humanity to prove that Imperial fleets could be defeated by determined opponents using unconventional tactics. We need more than just a military victory, he said slowly. We need to demonstrate specific techniques that other species can adapt to their own situations. Engineer Ojihun's voice came through the communication system from the Shadow Fleet. Admiral, we have been analyzing the Ravager ship designs provided by the Empire. Their vessels are built for maximum firepower, but they have significant structural weaknesses at close range. New technical diagrams appeared showing the alien warships in detail. The massive vessels carried weapons that could crack moons, but their hulls were designed to deflect energy attacks rather than resist physical impacts. More importantly, their internal layouts assumed that enemy forces would never reach boarding distance. Every Ravager ship has the same vulnerability, O continued. Their weapon systems are concentrated in heavily armored forward sections, while their command centers and life support are located in rear compartments protected only by standard hull plating. Lim Wuben studied the structural analysis with growing excitement. If we can get boarding teams into those rear sections, we can disable their ships without having to penetrate the forward armor. The challenge is surviving long enough to reach boarding range, Song noted. Their weapons can destroy our ships. From thousands of kilometers away, Captain Choi Minsu's voice joined the conference from the Shadow Fleet flagship. Sir, we have been running simulations based on the intelligence data. Our modified vessels can survive the approach if we accept heavy casualties and maintain perfect formation discipline. The tactical plan began to take shape as data flowed between the secret command center and the ships racing toward Kepler Station. Humanity's advantage lay not in superior technology or numbers, but in their willingness to accept losses that would break the morale of other species. The Ravagers expect us to break and scatter when they begin their bombardment, Song realized. Every other species they have faced tried to preserve their ships by maneuvering evasively. Instead, we advance directly into their fire while maintaining formation, Choi confirmed. Some ships will be destroyed, but the survivors will reach close quarters range where our boarding teams can capture or disable the alien vessels. Commander Nari provided additional intelligence, showing that Ravager crews had little experience with internal security. Their ships were designed to fight other vessels, not repel boarders moving through their corridors. Human Marines trained in zero-gravity combat would have significant advantages once they breached the alien hulls. There is something else, Nari added. My sources indicate that other Imperial observers will be present at Kepler Station to monitor our performance. If we succeed, their reports will spread throughout the Empire faster than official communications. Song reviewed the complete tactical plan that had emerged from months of preparation and analysis. 30 human ships would face 200 Ravager vessels in a battle that would determine not just Earth's fate, but the future of freedom in the galaxy. The odds were impossible by any conventional measure. Admiral, what are your orders? Asked Choi from the Shadow Fleet. Song looked around the command center at officers and technicians who had dedicated years to preparing for this moment. Every human in the facility understood that they were about to attempt something that had never been done before, challenge the Empire's military supremacy using tactics that had been forgotten by civilizations that relied on technological advantages. Signal all ships to maintain course for Kepler Station at maximum speed, he ordered. Begin final preparations for boarding operations and ensure that every Marine understands their mission. He paused, and his voice carried the weight of humanity's entire future. The Empire thinks they know how humans fight because they have observed our colonial defense forces. They have never seen what we become when everything we value is at stake. As the conference ended, Song remained in the command center, watching the displays that tracked their ships racing toward an impossible battle. In 16 days, the Shadow Fleet would face the Ravager Armada in combat, that would prove whether humanity deserved to remain free or would join the countless species that had surrendered their independence to imperial rule. The ancient warriors of Earth had faced similar odds with primitive weapons and unbreakable spirit. Kepler Station hung in space like a metal flower blooming against the starfield. The mining facility's rotating habitat rings and docking arms had been built by a consortium of minor species seeking to establish their own trading post far from imperial oversight. Now it served as the stage for a battle that would determine whether freedom could survive in a galaxy ruled by fear. Captain Choi Min-soo stood on the bridge of Seoul's Pride watching his tactical displays as the Shadow Fleet took up defensive positions around the station. 30 human warships formed a protective screen, while the station's civilian population prepared to evacuate to emergency shelters deep within the asteroid base. The ships looked impossibly small compared to the massive alien vessels that were approaching from the outer system. "Contact bearing 27 Mark IV, reported Tactical Officer Kang Yeona. "Multiple hyperspace signatures detected. The Ravager fleet is arriving." The first alien ships emerged from hyperspace like nightmares given form. Each Ravager vessel was the size of a city with organic curves and mechanical protrusions that pulsed with bioluminescent energy patterns. Their hulls were covered in weapon ports that glowed with barely contained power, while sensor arrays swept the area like predatory, eyes-seeking targets. "Count is now 50 vessels and climbing," Yona continued as more ships materialized. "Confirmed 12 Dreadnought-class warships plus supporting cruisers and destroyers." Chief Engineer Oh Ji-hoon monitored the quantum drives that had brought them to this distant battlefield. All systems showing green. Boarding pods are loaded, and Marine teams report ready for deployment. The final Ravager ships emerged from hyperspace until 200 alien warships filled the sensor screens. Their formation was perfect with dreadnoughts at the center, surrounded by layers of smaller vessels in a defensive pattern that had never been broken by any enemy force. The display of overwhelming technological superiority was designed to break enemy morale before the first shot was fired. "This is Fleet Commander Zektar to human vessels," came the transmission from the Ravager flagship. "You have assembled an impressive force for such a primitive species. 30 ships against our 200. Your courage will be remembered even as your ships are destroyed." Captain Choi activated the fleet communication channel connecting all human vessels. "All ships, this is Seoul's Pride. Remember your training and trust in your brothers beside you. Today we fight not just for Earth but for every species that dreams of freedom." Fighter pilot Nam Hyuk launched from the carrier Incheon, along with 2 squadrons of modified attack craft. The small vessels were equipped with ramming prows and boarding equipment rather than conventional weapons. Their mission was to create breaches in enemy hulls that Marines could exploit. "Crimson Squadron away," Hyuk reported as his fighters accelerated toward the alien formation. "Beginning attack run on designated targets." The Ravager fleet opened fire with weapons that could shatter moons. Beams of coherent energy and streams of exotic particles reached across thousands of kilometers to engulf the human formation. 3 ships disappeared instantly in balls of superheated plasma, while others staggered under impacts that overloaded their shields. But the Shadow Fleet did not break or scatter as every other enemy had done. Instead, the surviving ships closed ranks and continued advancing directly toward the alien battle line. Human crews died at their posts while their vessels maintained perfect formation discipline despite taking catastrophic damage. "Direct hit on Busan," reported Yeona as another human ship exploded. "We have lost contact with 5 vessels total. Maintain course and speed," Choi ordered. "All ships continue the advance." The sight of human ships absorbing devastating losses while refusing to retreat sent ripples of confusion through the Ravager fleet. No species had ever maintained formation discipline under such overwhelming firepower. Most enemies surrendered or fled after losing their first few vessels. Commander Shin Yura guided the fortress ship Incheon through the bombardment while her crew prepared for boarding operations. The massive vessel carried half the Shadow Fleet's Marine complement in specialized assault pods designed to penetrate enemy hulls and deliver fighting troops directly into alien ship interiors. "Range to target decreasing," she announced. 18,000 kilometers and closing Marine assault. Leader Base Young-ho checked his equipment one final time as his troops prepared for deployment. Each Marine carried weapons that combined traditional blade techniques with advanced energy shields. Their training emphasized close-quarters combat in zero-gravity environments where conventional tactics meant nothing. "Remember what we learned about alien ship layouts," he told his squads over the communication network. "Their command centers are in the rear sections protected only by standard bulkheads. Get inside and take control of their ships." The human formation continued its relentless advance while Ravager weapons carved through their ranks. 15 ships had been destroyed, but the survivors maintained their approach vector with mechanical precision that impressed even their enemies. The alien fleet began to show signs of uncertainty as their perfect formation wavered. "They are not responding to our bombardment as predicted," observed a Ravager tactical officer. "Standard doctrine calls for evasive maneuvers when facing superior firepower." Fleet Commander Zektar studied his displays with growing unease. Every previous battle had followed the same pattern. Enemy fleets would attempt long-range engagements until their losses became unacceptable, then retreat or surrender. No species had ever simply absorbed massive casualties while continuing to advance. "Increase firing rate," he ordered. "Concentrate all weapons on the lead human vessels." The bombardment intensified as 200 alien ships focused their fire on the remaining human formation. Energy levels that could sterilize planets reached across space to engulf the Shadow Fleet. 7 more human vessels died in seconds, but the survivors crossed into close range where their true capabilities could be unleashed. Fighter pilot Nam Hyuk dove through the defensive screen around a Ravager dreadnought, while enemy point defense systems tried to track his modified attack craft. His fighter was too small and fast for weapons designed to engage large vessels. The ramming prow struck the alien hull and punched through armor that could deflect energy weapons. "Breach successful," he reported as his fighter's boarding pod deployed Marine teams directly into the enemy ship's interior. Crimson Squadron has delivered assault teams to 3 target vessels. Similar scenes played out across the battlefield as human fighters and boarding pods penetrated Ravager hulls that had never been designed to resist physical assault. Marine teams poured through the breaches carrying weapons their enemies had never encountered and training for combat situations that alien crews could not comprehend. Inside the Ravager vessels, human Marines moved through corridors and compartments with deadly efficiency. Their monomolecular blades cut through alien armor, while energy shields deflected return fire. Most importantly, they understood something their enemies had forgotten: how to fight when outnumbered and outgunned by using superior tactics and unbreakable determination. "We have control of dreadnought-consuming darkness," reported Marine leader Base Young-ho from inside the captured vessel. "Alien crew has retreated to sealed compartments, beginning systematic clearing operations." The impossible was happening before the eyes of Imperial observers positioned at safe distances from the battle. Human forces were not just surviving contact with a Ravager fleet, but actually capturing alien warships through boarding actions that no species had attempted for thousands of years. Captain Choi watched his displays as the tactical situation shifted in humanity's favor. "All ships concentrate fire on disabled targets. Marines report status on captured vessels." 3 Ravager dreadnoughts had been taken by human boarding parties, while dozens of smaller ships found themselves fighting internal battles against enemies that moved through their corridors like ghosts. The aliens had superior numbers and technology, but no experience with the kind of warfare that human Marines had perfected. "This is impossible," transmitted Fleet Commander Zektar as his formation began to collapse. "No primitive species could defeat Imperial forces in direct combat." But the evidence surrounded him as human ships continued their advance, while captured Ravager vessels turned their weapons on their former allies. The tactical doctrine that had conquered 1,000 worlds was failing against an enemy that refused to follow conventional rules of engagement. The tide of battle had turned through human willingness to accept casualties that would break any other species, combined with tactical innovations that transformed apparent weaknesses into devastating advantages. The Shadow Fleet was proving that technological superiority meant nothing against opponents who understood the true nature of warfare. Victory was no longer impossible, but inevitable, as human forces demonstrated to watching alien observers that The Empire's military supremacy was built on foundations of sand. Every species in the galaxy would soon know that determined resistance could defeat even the most overwhelming odds when courage and sacrifice were guided by tactical brilliance that turned the enemy's strength against itself. The Galactic Empire was about to learn that some species would rather die fighting than live in chains. The silence that followed the destruction of the last Ravager vessel seemed to stretch across the entire galaxy. Kim Hana stood on the bridge of Soul's Pride looking out at the debris field that had once been the Empire's most feared fleet. Burning wreckage drifted between the stars while human ships moved among the ruins rescuing survivors and securing captured technology. 15 human vessels had been destroyed in the battle, but the Shadow Fleet had achieved something thought impossible: the complete annihilation of a Ravager armada through tactics that no alien species had seen for thousands of years. More importantly, the battle had been witnessed by Imperial observers whose reports were already spreading throughout the Empire's communication networks. "Ambassador, we have received surrender transmissions from 17 alien vessels," reported Captain Choi Min-soo. "Their crews are requesting terms for honorable capitulation." Hana nodded while reviewing the tactical displays that showed the aftermath of humanity's impossible victory. "Signal all surviving alien crews that they will be treated according to the laws of warfare. No summary executions or torture of prisoners." The quantum communication system activated with priority transmissions from across the galaxy. Intelligence. Operative Jong Hyun appeared on screen from a hidden location deep within Imperial space. Behind her, other figures could be seen moving in what appeared to be a military command center. "Ambassador, the Empire is in chaos," Hyun reported with barely contained excitement. "News of the Ravager fleet's destruction has reached every major world within hours. Resistance cells that have been dormant for centuries are beginning to mobilize." Additional reports flowed through the communication channels from human operatives embedded throughout alien civilizations. On 12 different worlds, enslaved species were openly defying Imperial authority for the first time in living memory. The psychological impact of humanity's victory was proving even more devastating than the military defeat. "The Empire's reputation for invincibility has been shattered," continued Diplomatic Corps Leader Ko Jinwan from Earth's Secret Intelligence Network. "Species that accepted Imperial rule because they believed resistance was futile are reconsidering their positions." The main communication screen activated, showing High Chancellor Vexithara aboard her crystal ship as it approached Kepler Station. Her crystal form flickered with what could only be described as barely controlled rage, mixed with something that might have been fear. Behind her, other alien officials could be seen in heated discussion. "Ambassador Hana," the Chancellor began, and her voice carried dangerous undertones. "You have achieved an unexpected tactical victory, but you have also doomed your species to complete destruction. The Empire will not tolerate this unprecedented challenge to our authority." Hana stepped forward until she was centered in the communication pickup. Her hand rested casually on the katana at her side while her expression remained calm and confident. Behind her, the bridge crew of Soul's Pride continued their duties with professional competence that spoke of years of preparation. "Chancellor Vexithara, I believe there has been a fundamental misunderstanding about the nature of this engagement," Hana replied. "You offered us a test to prove our worthiness for membership in your empire. We have completed that test successfully." The Chancellor's crystal form brightened with indignation. "You were meant to fail. The Ravager fleet was sent to demonstrate the futility of resistance against Imperial power. Your victory represents a dangerous precedent that threatens the stability of our entire civilization." "Then perhaps your civilization needs to be threatened," Hana said quietly. "An empire that maintains order through fear and intimidation has forgotten the most basic truth about intelligent species. Free beings will always eventually resist tyranny regardless of the odds against them." She moved closer to the communication pickup while her voice carried across space to the alien leaders who had ruled the galaxy through force for 10,000 years. "The Empire laughed when we asked to join you as equals. You tested us expecting us to fail or beg for mercy when faced with overwhelming odds. The quantum link crackled as additional alien vessels appeared on the tactical displays. These were not Ravager ships, but Imperial Navy dreadnoughts moving into position around Kepler Station. Their weapons were already charging as they prepared to finish what the Ravager fleet had failed to accomplish. But you made one critical error, Hana continued as she reached for her katana. You assumed we wanted to join your empire. The ancient blade sang as it cleared the scabbard. Steel that had been folded and refolded by Master Smith's generations. Ego caught the light from distant stars while its edge gleamed with deadly sharpness. Every alien on the communication channel recoiled, as if the primitive weapon could somehow reach across space to threaten them. We did not come here to join your empire, Hana declared as she held the katana before her. We came to serve notice that humanity will protect any species that chooses freedom over servitude. The age of your empire's unopposed rule ends today. She placed the blade on the deck plating before her, while maintaining eye contact with the Chancellor through the communication link. The gesture was unmistakably ceremonial, and carried implications that every alien leader understood despite their different cultural backgrounds. This blade has been carried by warriors who faced impossible odds for over 1,000 years. It has tasted the blood of tyrants and defended the innocent against overwhelming force. Today it witnesses the birth of something new in this galaxy. The communication channels exploded with incoming transmissions from resistance movements across the Empire. Species that had accepted imperial rule for centuries were openly declaring their independence while others offered military support to the human cause. The psychological dam that had held back rebellion for millennia was finally breaking. Earth remembers what it means to be free, Hana announced as she sheathed her katana with a decisive motion. For any species that wishes to remember as well, we offer our hand in alliance against those who would make them kneel. High Chancellor Vexithara's crystal form darkened with fury as she realized the full implications of what was happening. You have started a war that will consume the entire galaxy. Billions will die because of your arrogance. Billions are already dying under your rule, Hana replied. They die slowly of despair and broken spirits on worlds where hope has been systematically extinguished. We offer them something your empire never could. The chance to die fighting for something they believe in rather than living as slaves. The Imperial dreadnoughts surrounding Kepler Station began to withdraw as their commanders received new orders from the Empire's highest levels. Destroying the human fleet now would only create martyrs and further inflame the rebellions that were already spreading like wildfire through Imperial space. Captain Choi stepped forward as tactical displays showed the scope of what was happening across the galaxy. Ambassador, we have confirmation of uprisings on 47 worlds. More reports are coming in every few minutes. Intelligence operative Yoon Nari's voice came through the quantum link from her hidden position within the Empire's communication networks. The Imperial Senate is in emergency session. 3 major species have formally declared independence while dozens of others are mobilizing their military forces. The transformation was happening faster than anyone had anticipated. The Empire's carefully maintained image of invincible authority was collapsing, as species throughout the galaxy realized that resistance was not only possible, but could be successful. Humanity's victory had provided the spark, but the fuel for rebellion had been accumulating for thousands of years. What are our orders, Ambassador? Asked Marine Leader Bae Seung-ho as his troops secured the captured Ravager vessels. Do we prepare for immediate Imperial counterattack? Hana looked out at the starfield where the wreckage of an entire fleet drifted as silent testimony to what determined beings could accomplish when they refused to surrender. The battle had been won, but the war for galactic freedom was just beginning. Signal all human vessels to begin broadcasting our message on all frequencies, she ordered. Any species that wants to throw off the chains of imperial servitude has friends among the stars. We will teach them what we know about fighting against impossible odds. The quantum links came alive with transmissions from rebel leaders seeking military advisors and tactical support. Humanity had become the symbol of successful resistance against tyranny. But more importantly, they had proven that the Empire's forces could be defeated by species willing to sacrifice everything for freedom. As the diplomatic ship Harmony prepared to depart Kepler Station, Hana took one final look at the battlefield where everything had changed. The Galactic Empire would never again rule through fear alone, because too many species now knew that their chains could be broken by those who remembered how to fight. The ancient katana at her side seemed to hum with satisfaction, as if the spirits of her warrior ancestors approved of what their descendant had accomplished among the stars. Freedom was never free, but some prices were worth paying regardless of the cost. The galaxy had just learned that some species would rather stand and fight than live forever on their knees.